This is beautiful. What is that, velvet?
Peace and love is the key.
You are now about to experience the J&J-Life Maat podcast with your host, Reya'Sekhmet.
But my name combines Raya, which means a connection to Ra. J&J-Life podcast, please smash that like button. Peace and love is the key.
I'm Maat family. I'm Reya'Sekhmet, also known as Reya'Sekhmet, and you have entered the J&J-Life podcast, where truth is spoken and is remembered. Today's episode will be a good one, family, because we're talking about consciousness and how it's shaped, how it's stolen, and how we guard it from the Yurugu and Europeans alike. We will also dive into the importance of STEM education as a tool for nation building. Our discussion will range from media to music, all the way to misinformation. Look, family, we're naming the forces that try to program us, and we're uplifting the warriors who fight back. And family, today isn't playtime. This is nation time. Family, today we welcome back to the J&J-Life podcast someone that is not only a doctor in her respective field, but she's one of our truth tellers. And we here at the Moot Institute for Ancestral Learning, we are truth seekers. So family, this is nation business. So without further ado, please welcome Dr. Maat back to the show. Abibi Fahodie, Dr. Maat, how are you doing on this fantastic day?
Abibi Fahodie, young warrior princess, Reya'Sekhmet, Abibi Tumi, Abibi Wan Wan, and peace to the great Baba Asar. Peace and love, and thank you all so much for having me back. I was just looking at our last interview. I looked at it last week, and I looked at it this morning. And I think it was very powerful. I think that you did a phenomenal job, Reya'Sekhmet. And I'm delighted to be back again today.
Awesome. Ashe.
Before we dive into today's episode, I got to check in with my co-host, the one who always brings the wisdom and pushes me to think deeper. And Baba Asar, or as he's affectionately known as, the Conscious Locks.
All is well, Reya'Sekhmet. In Abibi Fahodie, Dr. Maat, and I want to give a personal shout out from the J&J-Life Maat podcast to Brother Unk. Brother Unk, we see you, we watch you, and we are definitely inspired by your work. So keep presenting that information and staying strong for the African village and family. As we always do, I want to give reverence to the ancestors and the elders for all they have done and are doing. And Reya'Sekhmet, I'm excited. I'm always excited when we got Dr. Maat on the show, because anytime Dr. Maat comes on our show, family, it's a chance to learn, grow, and remember. Ashe.
So with that said, let's just get straight into it.
Let's do it.
I want to start with the foundation, and that's our consciousness. I've come to know consciousness isn't just about being awake. It's actually knowing who you are, where you come from, and what forces are trying to shape you. So Dr. Ma, I'm wondering, how do you define not just consciousness, but African-centered consciousness?
I mean, I think that's a powerful question. And I want to salute a brother, Dr. Dennis Asar Winkler. Years ago, he invited me on his platform. It was called the Black Conscious. I want to say it's called the Black Conscious Business Network. And while I was on there, he read the definition of consciousness out of Blueprint for Black Power by Dr. Amos Wilson. As a matter of fact, it's in chapter 4. I would reach behind me and grab the book, but I'm not going to try to recite it, off the top of my head, because I don't want to butcher it. But I do remember him reading it, and that was actually the first time I got exposed to Dr. Amos Wilson's work, and also Blueprint for Black Power. And the definition was powerful, and I'll paraphrase it. I won't try to recite it, because I know I'm gonna butcher it. But in essence, Dr. Amos Wilson was saying the same thing that you just said, Reya'Sekhmet. Consciousness was not just about being, aware, but then what do you do with your awareness? How do you perceive things? How do you interpret things? How do you see the world? How do you respond to stimuli from your environment, right? It's not just being awake. That's not just consciousness. It's deeper than that. And even in that chapter, Dr. Amos Wilson talked about how there are different degrees of consciousness, right? And so I would define it based on what he gave us. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. Consciousness is about how you perceive, how you interpret, how you respond to your environment. That's what it's really about. How aware are you of self, in your environment? Do you understand self? Do you understand your environment? How do you interpret yourself and the things around you? How do you respond to you and the things around you? Stimulus. And so that's what consciousness is. And so then when you say, well, what is African consciousness? That's seeing the world through African lenses, interpreting the world, understanding the world, and acting, as an African person, right? And since we've been here in North America and throughout the diaspora, we've been removed from our homeland and enslaved and colonized and miseducated, and we're faced with systemic racism. We had to learn how to be African again. So as Baba started off with giving praise to our ancestors and our elders, because they've come and they've taught us how to be African again. I love the work of Baba and Walimu Baruti and Mama Ya Baruti and Mama Marimba Ani, because they talk about what does it mean to be African. We're now just, we're learning how to be African again. And so in essence, African consciousness is seeing the world, through the lenses of an African person. Your understanding, how you interpret things, how you respond to things. That is African consciousness. And Dr. Amos Wilson, in his book, The Falsification of African Consciousness, he talks about how, our consciousness gets disrupted when we don't know our history, And so anyway, I'll land my plane there.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. Ashe.
Dr. Rothbard, do you have any thoughts?
I do have thoughts on this, but for the sake of time, I'll try to do my best to try to keep it tight, right? And Dr. Maat, I was so used to seeing the conscious ingenuity background, but I don't see it anymore.
I just wanted
flying without it.
Yeah, it's a new. Yeah, I'm fine without it. It's a new. It's a new interview. So I'm like, I don't need to have. It's actually the UACI logo, but I was like, I don't need to put the UACI logo up. It's a new. We can show the bookshelf. We can show the bookshelf.
Okay, we flying in the mothership today, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But to the point, I would just say that my thoughts, family, are aligned with exactly what Dr. Maat has just said, and without repeating most, if not all of it, Reya'Sekhmet, I would just say that based on our elder scholars and ancestors, family, that African-centered consciousness at its core is the awareness that we are divine, powerful, and rooted in legacy that predates colonization and definitely predates the Yurugu. And peace to Nana Marimba Ani and Baba, all the Babas, Baba Mwale Mubaruti, Mama Ya, Baba Olatunji, Baba Mku Mz, Baba Batu Shikari, and one of my good Babas, Baba Taka Kilimanjaro.
Yes.
And I just wanted to add that because family, it's knowing that our ancestors built civilizations, created sciences, and lived in harmony with nature.
Absolutely.
But more than that, it's a war consciousness, right? Reya'Sekhmet, we learned that with talking with Baba Baruti, because we found out, Dr. Maat, that from the teachings of Baba Baruti, it's the understanding that we are in a constant battle for our minds, and that every institution, from media to education to even the entertainment, is designed to keep us mentally enslaved. And family, Baba Baruti also reminds us that consciousness is not a passive state, it is an active resistance. Ashe?
Ashe. And he's right. He's 1,000% right when he says we're in a constant battle for our minds, and that's why when you sent over the agenda and we were, I said, make sure that you add family. So I know we have media in there, but family, educational institutions, and other community, institutions, they have to be in alignment. They have to be, everything has to be in alignment. So let me say this. So for example, you all are raising Reya'Sekhmet in an African-centered, home or family. And I think you all are doing a wonderful job, by the way. But what I've come to learn is that if when she leaves you all, go to other family members' homes, I think she's homeschooled, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so she doesn't have to worry about that. But I'm thinking about other African-centered students who don't go to, other African-centered children who don't go to African-centered schools. Then they leave. They go to other institutions, educational institutions. They go to other family members' homes, or they go to other places that aren't African-centered. And so I don't think that we as African-centered people, parents, understand how that impacts the consciousness of that child. I remember there were years ago, my middle boy, his name is Isaiah. He came to me when he was 16 and he told me, he said, I feel like I'm being pulled in two different directions. And I didn't take heed to what he was saying at that time, but he absolutely was being pulled in different directions. So I'm on one end saying, this is how you need to move. This is how you need to be. This is how you need to conduct yourself. But then when he goes into other environments and he's out in the world, those same principles and values and concepts aren't being reinforced. And so again, then you begin. So then that war. So again, Baba Baruti is 1,000% right. It's a constant war, to hold on to your African consciousness. Even when we're turning on the TV, even when we're on social media, just scrolling, we are in a constant battle of the mind, a constant battle of the mind. I just wanted to, plus one what Baba Baruti said.
That's a good preface into what Reya'Sekhmet and I were talking about leading up to this discussion, is about what does it look like now that we are in today's time. And I'll let Reya'Sekhmet tell you what she was thinking. That way it doesn't, for all the people that support us, we thank you. But for those that are questioning or are hating on if Reya'Sekhmet is being fed misinformation or being rehearsed in any type of way, by adults or the people that we bring on the show, this young lady does her research. She reads. That's something that we as a people need to do more of. And I just wanted to say that because we do get people who pledge their support and want to be followers and subscribers and things like that. But when you have the good, you also have the not so good. You
Absolutely.
do get the comments in the comment section that want to, and I think most people say things just to be saying, talking to respond and not talking or saying something or hearing to listen. So I'll let Reya'Sekhmet go ahead and share your thoughts. And ask Dr. Maat the question that you were asking me just last night.
Wow.
So Dr. Maat, here we are in the 24th century, 25 years already behind us. And yet, I've come to know most of us keep falling into the same traps: broken homes, distorted roles in media that erases our sacred bonds. So before we talk about technology, we got to talk about family, because I've been taught that family is the first classroom where worldview is shaped, along with language and values that are also passed down. But when family is fractured by media or by trauma, consciousness becomes vulnerable, and that vulnerability gets taken advantage of. Sometimes I think we need a new standard rooted in African wholeness. I'm still learning and trying to figure things out, or even what it looks like. And yeah, I'm aware that we have pockets of people out in our communities doing the work. But Dr. Ma, my question is, how do you define family today and its role shaping consciousness? Do we need a new standard going forward, one that protects the African line, Norland?
Great question. Yeah, I think that's a great question. And she's right. Families do become, let's be honest. The Black family has been fractured since we got over here. I know people say, well, during slave, there's a lot of people that have, podcasts, and they keep talking about this stat. Black families were together, up until the 60s or 70s. The Black families were together. 80% of Black people were married, which is true. 80% of Black people were married. And then, after the feminist movement, after the drug epidemic, after mass incarceration, things destroyed the Black family. But the Black family has been fractured. Think about it, since we got here. And some people may say, well, Dr. Maat, everybody wasn't enslaved, right? There was a such thing as free Blacks. But we have to understand that free Blacks,
define free.
Right. Like people say, there's free Blacks, they weren't enslaved, but they, you had some people. I mean, think about the story Solomon Northrop. I mean, you had people who were free Blacks, but you could be but enslaved in a heartbeat. They didn't enjoy the same freedoms as their, white male counterparts. And I'm talking about Black men. They didn't enjoy the same freedoms of their white male counterparts as free Blacks, whatever that looks like. They were in constant, fear of being, enslaved. And then also remember, they started passing laws that if you were messing with or married to an enslaved person, then you could be enslaved. So I just say all that to say, the Black family, if you go back in time, has always been fractured. Black women had to worry about whether or not Black men were being sold, whether their children were going to be sold, whether their children were going to be raped or molested, whether they themselves would be raped or molested, whether their men were going to be raped or molested. I mean, like, I'm talking about the Black family now, since we saying it's been, people try to act like it was just intact and it was just a beautiful institution from the time we got here. And that is really romanticizing history. It was terrible. I mean, we tried to keep the Black family together as much as possible because we come from a culture where the family, is priority. The family is vital. And we brought that mindset here with us, and under, enslavement and under Jim Crow, we tried our best to keep the family together, but we were under duress the entire time. The Black family's been fractured since we got here and started creating families. It's been fractured, and so I just wanted to start there because a lot of people think, oh, this is a new phenomenon. Now we're in a situation where a lot of Black folks, people aren't getting married. I think 20% of Black women are married, something along the line, 20%, something like that. It's a very low percentage of Black people getting married. And people like to recite that stat. Oh, the Black family was better off. When we was in slavery and Jim Crow, we was better off. We was together. It was a lot of stuff happening, with the Black families, during that time period. So I just don't like when people romanticize, the Black family in enslavement and Jim Crow, because it was a lot of issues happening. Women didn't even have rights. You talking about the Black family under duress. Women couldn't even go to the doctors without getting permission from our husbands. We couldn't vote. We couldn't go get a loan at a bank. I mean, we couldn't do certain things. And you want to hold up the Black family during this time period? It's crazy. But anyway, I know her question was about a new standard. I absolutely agree that we need a new standard and a new definition, but we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Dr. Amos Wilson, in his book, Blueprint for Black Power, helped me to understand. And I want to say that was on the chapter. I want to say it was the chapter on culture. We talked about culture and family. Maybe chapter 3, maybe chapter 5. I don't quite recall. But what I will say is this. He talked about a family being a system. He talked about the family being a system. And when Dr. Amos Wilson first presented me, and I'm talking about through his work, because I never met him, I just listened to his lectures on YouTube and read his books. But when he put forth that definition and I read it in his work, he talked about the family being a system. That was the first time I ever heard of a family being a system. Mm-hmm. And he said that it's a system where and I'm paraphrasing, by the way, so people who are, who study Dr. Amos Wilson, don't beat me up. She misquoted him. No. I'm paraphrasing. I'm paraphrasing, and I'm also, this is what I interpreted.
Right. And they be all in the chat too. Dr.
Oh yeah, they be. Yeah, she misinterpreted. He didn't say it like that. No, I'm paraphrasing, and this is how I interpreted his definition. But he defined it as a system by which the individuals who belong to that system pull their resources, their knowledge, their labor and skills, they pull it together to build the system, to advance the system, and to maintain the system. Mm-hmm. And I never thought of a family like that until I read his work. Said, no, it's a family is a system. See, we're used to what Baba Imhotep says this. He said a lot of us grew up in households and where we're all roommates. Mm. You go to school, this person goes to work, everybody goes to work, you come home, you may see each other, you may not. You're really living like roommates, not really like a system where we labor together. We share our skills, our knowledge. We're building. Maybe we have a family business or projects we're working together on. We're helping each other grow mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. Like a real system where we're meeting our basic physiological needs of food, clothing, and shelter. We're giving each other a sense of love and belonging, security, protection, right? We are helping each other develop and evolve for the better. And eventually, and this is, I'm thinking about Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, the members are self-actualizing, and these members are a product of a system that's helping them to self-actualize, meaning help them reach their optimum development. They come into being, you come into being from your family. And I don't think people really understand that is how a family should operate. We're so used to exporting our time, our energy, our knowledge, our skills, and our labor outside of the household. And then when we get into the household, we don't have time to talk to our children. We don't have time to read to them or them read to us. We don't have time to check their pulse. What's going on with you emotionally and mentally? Let me help you develop, emotional intelligence, critical thinking skills. We don't have time to do that. We don't have time to build a family business because we're constantly exporting all of our time, energy, knowledge, and skills outside of the family institution, which really should be a well-oiled machine, a system that is building the people who are involved in it, building the family, building the system. We don't do that. And so I do believe that we are in need of a new standard, not even a new standard, because like I said, Dr. Amos Wilson talked about what a family is. I think that we need to take that, promote that definition and apply it. This is how a family should operate, ideally, this is what a family looks like. We're teaching each other values and principles, and we prioritize the family. We prioritize the system. We work together for the benefit not only of the members of the family, but then also for the community, because the community is an extension of the family, because a community is nothing but a network of families. So we got to understand that definition. I think a lot of people don't understand what a family is. They think is you get your man, you get your wife, you have some babies, he go off to work, you go off to work, the kids go off to school, you come home, you may not eat dinner, everybody's on cell phones, you may get something to eat, you wake up and do it again, and you think you have a family, when really we're operating like roommates. So to answer your question, Reya'Sekhmet, I don't think that we're in need of a new standard. I think we need to go back to understanding what a family is and learn how to function as a family. And right now, since we've been, and I'll land my plane in a second, right now, under European cultural domination, we've become very individualistic. So people don't even care. You got people, man, that don't even care about family. I mean, shoot, I can talk about, even in my family, folks don't show up at events, right? If the family's getting together and you out with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your homeboys that you see all the time. But then your family, but then your family, when it comes to family time, you're busy, you can't make it. It's not a priority. We prioritize everybody but our family. I talk to my students all the time about values. Because Dr. Amos Wilson says that your behavior is rooted in what you value. So based on how you behave, I know exactly what you hold value. I know what's a high value in your life, and I know what's a low value in your life. And I have students who tell me, "Oh, Doc," I said, "When the last time you talked to your dad or your mom or your grandfather or your grandmother?" "Well, since I've been at the university, since I've been on campus, I haven't spoken to my grandmother in weeks, or my grandfather in weeks, or my parents." You got parents sending professors like myself emails saying, "Hey, do you have so and so in your class? Because I haven't heard from my son. I haven't heard from my daughter." And so I actually talk to my students at my university about valuing family, valuing the people that helped you get to where you're at. How can you not talk to those people? And I asked them this. I said, "But you talk to your girlfriend every day, don't you? You talk to your boyfriend every day. You hang out with your friends every day, but you can't make time for the people who were responsible for getting you to this point in your life."
Exactly.
And so, Baba, we live in this culture where people don't even value what we thought was family, right? So I'm saying we had it wrong on how we thought what we thought was family, how it was functioning. But now you got people that don't even value that. Like, they don't even value the members that they share blood with, like that that you came out of your mother's womb. You don't even you don't even call her. So I mean, that's a trigger for me. The Baba saw I'm over here getting riled up because I'm thinking about my family institution and what it was at one point and what it has become. And I'm not talking about in my household. I'm talking about, outside of my household, family members that don't really understand family and what it is, and they don't understand the value of it. So, Reya'Sekhmet, I'm gonna land my plane with this. I think Black people, our people, need to understand what a family is and how it should optimally function. And we need to begin to promote models of that so people can see it and go from there. So I wouldn't say a new standard. I would say we need to listen to our elders and our scholars on what it is, and we need to promote that in healthy models of Black families, and we need to push that whenever we can, because the family is vital in shaping consciousness. The family is extremely important in shaping the consciousness of the members, the children, very vital, very vital. So I'll land my plane there just in case you all want to get in.
I'm going to let that rest because Dr. Maat, that was a public service announcement. So we're going to make sure we're going to cut that whole section. But in all seriousness, yeah, exactly. Ashe. Three Ashes. Ashe. No, you said something that reminded me when I had just turned 18. I was on my way to the military, and I was in AIT, and I was in AIT for about a month and a half, and I didn't call home. And I remember being out in the field, and the first sergeant drove all the way in from the battalion into the field and called out my name, Private so-and-so. And I'm like, "Yes, first sergeant, when's the last time you talked to your mama, boy?" He's going, doing all of that. And basically, you know, he is berating me in front of the whole battalion.
Wow.
And he made me call my mom in front of everybody. But while I was talking to my mom, he made everybody do calisthenics. So and he wouldn't make he made me stay on the phone with my mom while he rocked the whole platoon.
Yeah.
So I guess I say all of that to say, right then and there, that's when I knew that my family values needed to be amplified. And from that moment on, I made sure that my inclusiveness with my family was very inclusive. If I don't have time, I got to make time.
That's right.
Why I sit with my grandchild, because what you're seeing me sit with Reya'Sekhmet, that's what I was doing with my children.
Beautiful.
So you know, when most of us was out hanging out, doing what young adults were doing or do, I was at home, going to work, coming home, pumping all that energy back into the family, because I just feel like I knew that my life is meant for something greater than myself. So
come on,
I just wanted to say that to kind of wrap up that particular segment. But I do want to say, before we go any further, we mentioned the term Yurugu and Reya'Sekhmet. You know, I've been teaching the family, you know, we've been reading Dr. Marimba Ani's book, Yurugu. And we are
Bobby, you're ahead of me because I haven't read it yet. I have it, but I haven't read it.
We're diving into it. It's not an easy book.
I heard
to get through, but if we're taking small bites at it, and then we're processing it and reciting it, making sure that she understands it and everybody else understands it through summary. Because if you're unable to summarize what you just read, then we need to read it again.
That's right.
So that's where we're at. But the reason why I mentioned that is because, you know, we here on this podcast are here to bring knowledge and point people in the direction of knowledge. And I'm sure many of your listeners, Reya'Sekhmet, are wondering what that term even actually means. So I was just wondering, for the family that may not know, do you mind explaining what Yurugu means, or what Yurugu means to you?
Is it okay with you, Dr.
Yeah, I want to listen. I want to hear how you defined it.
Ashe. So, family, the term Yurugu was coined by Nana Marimba Ani in her book Yurugu, an African-centered critique of European cultural thought and behavior. It draws from the Dogon culture, in which Yurugu is being born incomplete, lacking harmony and balance, and forever seeking to dominate and control to make up for what's missing. So basically, according to Nana Ani, European culture is Asili meaning seed or origin. It's rooted in separations, cultural, and domination.
Facts.
Can you believe that? Then there's the term Negropeans. I've come to know the word Negropeans combines Negro, which is a dated term for Black people, and European to highlight a contradiction, someone who is African by birth, but mentally and culturally aligned with European systems. By the way, Dr. have you had the opportunity to talk on a panel discussion with Nana Marimba Ani? Because I asked that because she is someone that I really want to interview or meet one day.
I want to interview her myself. I've been trying to get a hold of her for some years for her to come on the podcast, and she said, I'll think about it. But she typically she limits access to herself, and I've come to respect that. I think initially I was offended, you know, but then some of the people who are close to her, you know, they inform me that she's been through some things. You know, she's a elder. She's in her early 80s, and she had some life experiences. So she limits, you know, access to herself, you know, and she doesn't give everybody access.
That's understandable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was actually also told that when she put out that book, the Yurugu, I heard that she received all kinds of, threats, on her life and different things. I mean, so much so that at one point, Baba Baruti had to kind of step in and scan, emails and invitations and, and stuff like that on her behalf. And so because of her life experiences, Reya'Sekhmet, she has limited herself, but I don't think it's any harm in possibly, maybe shooting her an email and reaching out. I do have her email address. And so I can send you her email address. But I just, like I said, I've been trying to get her to come on my platform. And I know she doesn't do a lot of appearances. She doesn't like her image on the internet. And to be honest with you, I get it. Given AI and what AI is doing, a part of me wants to take all of my stuff. Like I'm really considering going on my YouTube channel and archiving all of my videos, like taking them and just maybe putting them all on, storing all of them in the cloud. Mm-hmm. And then also taking all of my images off of the net, even though I know a lot of it's already out there. But if people haven't saved it or downloaded it, try to remove as much as possible, because now, with AI can take right now me, my image and have me say some stuff that daggone well Dr. Maat didn't say it. Take your photographs and alter your photographs. So a lot of people think, oh, Mama Marimba, she's being paranoid. No, she's not. She's exercising wisdom, and she's saying, I don't want my image out there. So she doesn't make a lot of appearances. She doesn't even like her photos. When you take photos of her, she doesn't even like her photos on the internet. And initially I was one of those folks like, oh, she's being paranoid. But now that I'm looking at what AI is doing to people's images, they call it digital blackface. That's the name of it. It's called digital blackface, where somebody, they're generating videos of black folks like doing degenerate things. And they took Dr. Martin Luther King's. I don't know if you all saw that.
I saw that.
They took his image and got him eating chicken and doing all kinds of stuff. So I know that was a long answer, but I don't know if she would come on, given this climate that we're in and her life experiences. But I don't think it would hurt to bring her on. But I think you did a wonderful job laying out her definition of Yurugu. You actually, Reya'Sekhmet, enlightened me on it. I've been using it, using the term Yurugu, but you gave me a deeper meaning of the definition of it. So thank you for enlightening me on that, Reya'Sekhmet. Ashe.
Right there. From Remember Ani.
Ashe.
Yeah, and again, peace to Nana Ani. We just try to, when we are learning information, we just try to make sure that we are doing what we learn justice and be able to not only remember or recite something, but put it in practice.
That's right.
And I think that when it comes to the Yurugu, it is a way that helps me teach that ill sickness of European ways and culture and what they defined as being the right way. It gives me a better term to use with the likes of Reya'Sekhmet or my other grandchildren or people, to be out here in a world that currently, and we got to call it like it is.
That's right.
Is being run by the Yurugu, for lack of a better term. Matter of fact, that is the best term. So I just wanted to bring that up, and because we saw there was an event here maybe a month or two ago that we know you attended. Baba Olatunji talked about it in our interview, not in the interview, but in the green room, about he was selling his book, in the front, and we saw a picture of you with Nana Marimba Ani.
Yes.
And I think Baba Imhotep was maybe one of the commentators or event presenters at this event. I can't think of what it was.
No. He actually was the Baba Imhotep. It was the Race First Convention.
Race First Convention.
Yeah, he wasn't just a presenter. He's the visionary of the Race First Convention. He envisioned this 5 years ago and said that it was going to happen in September of 2025. And give thanks for Baba Imhotep Fadiul and the Pan-African Liberation Movement, his organization. And so it wasn't just, I don't want you to think it was an event. It was a convention, and he brought the best minds together to address critical areas that impact the Black nation. And when I say the Black nation, I'm not just talking about Black Americans here. I'm talking about Black Americans everywhere. He was motivated and inspired by the Negro conventions that occurred in the 1830s, well, in 1800s actually, because it was multiple Negro conventions, and so that inspired him, and he spoke about that during the convention. And so, I don't want you to think it was just an event, it was an actual convention where the great minds came together, great African minds came together to discuss and come up with resolutions for critical areas that impact Black people everywhere. And so we worked, it was a meet and greet on Friday, but then Saturday and Sunday, we were actually working. It wasn't like it was just a bunch of speeches, people talk, people feel good and leave. We were actually working, and we're still working. Give thanks. The work is still going on, and the resolutions are being finalized and will be published, and that publication will be pushed out to the Black nation, to the Black world, to the African world in the upcoming months. So people can actually take that, and now you have something to go back to your families with and your communities with, and teach it and promote it and implement those resolutions. And so I just wanted to say that. I don't want nobody to think it was just like we were working for 3 days.
Yeah,
Baba.
and forgive me for the lack of word use.
Oh, you're good, Bobby. You're good.
We're coming on late, but we're coming. So
that's right.
That was something that Baba Olatunji had mentioned to us, but by that time, it was after the fact, and so like I told him, it'll be another one.
It'll be another one, Baba.
We're coming on late, but we're coming, and we're not stopping. And so, I just wanted to mention that.
No, I'm glad you did. And look, and I'm glad that you mentioned Baba Olatunji and also Baba Imhotep, because when I'm going back to when I talk about model families, Baba Imhotep and his wife, thanks to Mama Ife, and their two beautiful, brilliant, handsome sons, Inyame and Mujasi, they are a model Black African family. They are a model for what a Black family should be. How a husband treats his wife, how a father treats his son, how a woman, a wife treats her husband, how a wife treats her sons, her children. They are a model. And I'm not saying, when I say model, I'm not saying it's perfect, right? And I don't know what goes on in their household, but I'm not saying that, it's just, it's perfect family, but they are a great model for how a Black family should function. And then not only did they have this model, them being a model, they have a family called the Fatius. Okay. The Fatius is a network of Black families who collectively work together, okay? Who collectively share together, care together, share knowledge, skills, time, energy. So it's the Fatius, but they are liberators, and they go into the community under the banner or under the organization Pan-African Liberation, but it's everybody that's in the PLM, and they're not Fatius. But the Fatius also work in PLM, which is the organization that goes into the community to do community work. And so he built a model. When we talk about resurrecting the Black family and what that looks like, I often give thanks to him for building a model Black African family, one that is rooted in our history, our culture, our values, our principles, and one that is also connected to the community and doing work in service to the community. So I just wanted to say that while we were live on air when I talked about promoting models. The Fatius are a great model for what a Black African family should be.
Peace to Baba Imhotep.
Peace.
Look out, Baba. Reya'Sekhmet's coming for you.
I let him know. I let him know.
Ashe.
I let him know. I let him know.
Baba, did you want to finish your point?
If you don't mind, I want to just wrap up my Yurugu point, and that is, family, that the Yurugu is real and present. And you just never know what we're going to get when we talk to Dr. Maat. So, family, like we said before, you're always going to be in for a journey and a ride, and on the J&J-Life Maat podcast. But
especially when we have Dr. Maat on the show.
Exactly. And I do just want to say this real quick. I just want the family to know that when Black people reject African-centered values, traditions, and spiritual systems in favor of Western norms, or when someone internalizes believing European standards of beauty, success, and behavior are superior, or even when Black individuals support policies, ideologies, or institutions that harm Black communities,
Then I
right?
need to know you get a Jesse Lee Peterson.
But there it is, family. And I'll just land my plane with this. I was trying to bring that up just to kind of veggie back off of the Fatu and what you were telling us about Baba Imhotep.
What did she say? What did she say again? I didn't catch what she said.
Put your mic up.
Put your mic up.
Then I've come to know you get a Jesse Lee Peterson.
She's talking about a Yurugu Negropean.
Oh, you talk. She said she had Jesse Peterson.
Jesse Lee Peterson.
Jesse Lee Peterson. I know who he is. He's always getting called out.
Yeah.
So when you started talking about Black people who internalize, you said ideologies, institutions, and policies and institutions. Westerns, Black people who internalize Western ideologies, policies, and she mentioned Jesse Lee Peterson.
Yeah. He's one that promotes and pushes a lot of distortion.
He does.
And when we're talking about the Yurugu, I was giving her examples of what a Negropean is considered, and she wanted me to define what is a Negropean, and so that's how that came about. And then what great example would be better than a Jesse Lee Peterson? So,
okay. I was wondering. I was wondering, like, what did she say just now? But it was Jesse Lee Peterson. I got you.
Yeah. That you know what? For a moment, if to the J&J-Life, my ITM family, forgive Baba Reya'Sekhmet for breaking character, but hey, I'm human.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, Ashe.
Okay. So, Dr. African-centered consciousness means to me is that the fact that I know who I am before the world tries to tell me, Baba Reya'Sekhmet taught me that our stories are sacred, and that remembering is basically a rite of passage. And from my conversation with Baba Emmanuel Baruti, he says we're at war, and that means I gotta protect my mind like it's a temple. I also had the opportunity to talk on a panel discussion with Baba Olatunji, Baba Mku, and Baba Batu, and to where Baba Olatunji explained to me that our culture is not just history, it's strategy, and Baba Mku reminded me that our ancestors are watching, and that every choice I make should honor them, and Baba Batu, Hikari taught me that we have some.
Segment, slow it down a little bit, let the family breathe a little bit,
Baba Batu taught me that we have some serious work to do. And
yes,
though we know the Creator has many names, we are witnessing a ritual of detachment. Right. It doesn't matter whether it's a God, Allah, Yahweh, or Aakhu'Ra. As soon as someone says God will fight my battles or God will work it out, they have declared you irrelevant. And right then, you are supposed to kick their butt at position of leadership in your society. Because we have to liberate ourselves. Right. No one is coming to save us. And Baba Tukal Kilimanjaro, he's one of the greats, at least to me. And he says,
yes, he is.
Yeah, and he says we are the living libraries of our people. And that means I got to study, speak, and act like my name depends on it. So when I say I'm African-centered, I mean, I walk with my head up, my heart open, and my mind guarded.
Ashe. Yeah, it's all good. But I did want to go back to how the Yurugu controls the media, because she went from being African-centered, and I appreciate that. Well, we jumped from the Yurugu, but I would love to talk about the Yurugu controlling the reality that we experience.
And we're going to get into that.
Okay. Yeah. The media, the education. Even Dr. Amos Wilson talks about the family. He said the family's nothing but a microcosm of the larger society. You know, the values and the values and principles that you see in a larger society, you see it in the family. You know, the family's not, so, but who controls the larger society? And then we wonder why a lot of our family members even, exhibit Yurugu dispositions, and point of views, So, yeah, I was waiting to get into that. So we waiting on, there she is.
So this leads us into the youth resistance and mental sovereignty, where the media distorts. It means they're distorting our image, rewriting our history, and feeding the children confusion. So Dr. Maat, now the question becomes, how do we fight back? Not just with anger, but with some element of strategy. Basically, how do we, the children, protect our minds from toxic programming that's designed to slip in unnoticed?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you said some key words in that. You talked about protecting our minds, right? And that's critical. There's something I want to read to you all that I saw posted on the internet. And matter of fact, and I don't really like to give this dude too much credit, but it's a guy that goes by the name of Charlemagne, the God, and the Breakfast Club. And he put this on social media. I think it was on his Instagram page some years ago. That's where I got it from. But he got it out of a book. And I'm not sure of the name of the book anymore. I used to know it, but I know that it was some book, and the chapter was entitled "Don't Unintentionally Hand Over Your Freedom," right? And this was on page 78. And I'm pretty sure if I Googled this or I threw in an AI, it would tell me the name of the book. But this particular, I guess, chapter, or it looked like it was dated March the 8th. So I don't know if it was like something that you read daily, like a daily writings of some sort. But anyway, it begins with a quote by Epictetus. And the quote says this. It says, and I'm reading verbatim, it says, "If a person gave away your body to some passerby, you be furious, yet you hand over your mind to anyone who comes along, so that they may abuse you, leaving it disturbed and troubled. Have you no shame in that?" So it goes on to say, instinctively, we protect our physical selves, right? So that means if I'm walking down the street and someone tries to push me, what do? I block, right? Or somebody tries to hit me, I block, right? And we do that instinctively, right? And this is Dr. Maat talking, and I'll be reading also about why I'm talking. But it says we don't let people push us around, control where we go. But when it comes to the mind, we are less disciplined, right? Mm-hmm. We hand it over willingly to social media, okay, to television, or to what other people are doing, thinking, or saying. We sit down to work, and then next thing you know, what are we doing? We're browsing the internet. We sit down with our families, but within minutes, we have our phones out. We sit down peacefully at a park, but instead of looking inward, we're judging people as they pass by. We don't even realize we're doing this. We don't realize how much waste is in it, or how inefficient and distracted it makes us. And what's worse, no one is making this happen. It is totally self-inflicted. He said to the Stoics, this is an abomination. They know that the world can control our bodies. We can be thrown in jail or be tossed about by the wet weather, but the mind, that's ours. We must protect it, maintain control over your mind and perceptions, they say. It says it is your most prized possession. So I wanted to read that, right? Because it's a lot of truth in that passage. Because Reya'Sekhmet said, yeah, we got to protect our minds. You got some people that don't even know what that looks like, right? Like, we got to protect our minds. What does that look like? Well, first of all, in the family, and when you have children, not giving your child a daggone smartphone. I'm sitting here thinking about Dr. James McIntosh, who he's a student. He was a student of Dr. Amos Wilson. And he talked about how Dr. Amos Wilson said, when you want to understand what something does, just reverse it, right? So you say it's the education system, but it's really the miseducation system. The healthcare system, well, that's what's getting you sick. So you reverse it, right? So it's not the healthcare system, it's the sick system. So just when you think about the smartphone, what is the smartphone really doing? It's not, I call it a dumb phone. It's really dumbing people down. You don't put your child in front of this. My son has a flip phone. He's 15. Putting this into the hands of somebody 11 or 12 years old, I don't think as parents we understand how damaging that is. And I don't think we understand as parents that it is our job to protect the minds of our children. What does that look like? Not giving them a dumb phone. I don't want to keep calling it a smartphone, but a dumb phone. And I remember when we first gave Jalen a flip phone, people said, I remember on the internet, I was criticized. Oh, you're denying him access to technology. Now there's research that have come out that says that children between 12 and 18 develop mental illness as a result of having access to smartphones. I'm saying smartphones, but I call them dumb phones. And doctors are now saying or telling parents that they need to give their children flip phones. Now they're actually recommending flip phones because they've noticed that in kids, children between 18 and 24, or young adults between 18 and 24, that as a result of being exposed to smartphones, in their teenage years, that now they're developing mental illness. Suicide rates are up. You got these kids that are experimenting with all sorts of stuff as a result of seeing it on social media. So protecting the mind as a parent means not giving my child access to the sick world that we live in. This world is sick. You talk about the Yurugu's cultural reality is sick. I tell my family all the time that when I wake up, I feel like America is an open air insane asylum. When I walk around, I feel like we're literally in an open air insane asylum in America. The Yurugu's cultural reality is insanity. It's sick when you really look at it, and it's making a lot of people sick, living in this cultural reality. And so protecting your mind as a parent starts with not giving your child access to the dumb phone. Another thing is making sure that your children aren't going to just any old institution. Our children should be in African-centered educational institutions. I remember going to family members, and I'm talking about outside of my household, because I was so excited about Jalen getting enrolled in the Aakhu'Ra Academy, and give thanks to Baba Amin and my mama and Koyo. They built a beautiful online African-centered educational institution. And so, I just, when I got him in there, I was like, oh my goodness, I wanted to share it with everybody. But no, a lot of my family members wanted to keep their children in the public school system and don't understand how it's damaging to the minds of our children. It damages their minds. They're getting exposed to God knows what in those public schools. And I don't think our people understand that. So protecting your mind with your child looks like not giving them a smartphone, sending them to educational institutions that are controlled by us. Also making sure that we surround them with a peer group that shares the same culture and ideology of the household. So monitoring their peer group and making sure that their peer group is in alignment with what we're trying to do with our children. Also, other family members, making sure our children aren't exposed to certain family members, what they see on TV, your Netflix, your Prime, Amazon Prime. And I'm not saying that you can't find good stuff on these platforms, but monitoring what your children watch, whether it's on their phones, or on a television, or even on their computers. And so we have to get into the business of protecting their minds. So Reya'Sekhmet said, well, how do you fight back? You fight back by protecting first. Okay. So my child is not going to watch certain things. My child is not going to hang around certain people. My child is not going to have access to certain devices, tools and devices. My child is not going to be around certain people. My child is not going to go to this educational institution. So fighting back means, first of all, acknowledging the need to protect your child's mind and then implementing strategies and mechanisms to do just that. And then also making sure that we expose our children to media that expands their knowledge of who we are, right? That builds their self-esteem, their confidence, their vocabulary, their critical thinking skills, their cultural knowledge or cultural awareness, things of that nature. That's what we should be doing with our children, you know.
Facts.
Told you, family. This is Nation Business Today. Dr. Maat, media is everywhere. We've got TV, streaming services, social media like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We've got music, movies, even visual art. I've heard some people say it's just harmless entertainment, something to pass the time, while others have said media is a weapon, a tool used to program us, to distract us, and to distort our truth. So, Dr. Maat, what would you say is good, bad, or ugly for our people when it comes to shape our consciousness, especially for the children who grow up in it every single day?
Absolutely. I think that's a beautiful question. I think media that promotes deaf culture, deaf culture. What I mean by deaf culture, it in my generation, it was money, the S word, right? I don't know if I can say that, but it was the S word, it was money, and it was drugs, right? And that was my generation. Now in her generation, it's the two S words. I don't know if I can say that, but it's two S words that's promoted. And then it's drugs and it's money. And all of that is what I call deaf culture, right? It's deaf culture. And so that is very destructive to the minds of young people. I often tell my students, I say, do you all think that when you listen to certain things or you see certain things, that it has no impact on your mind, on your spirit? You know, and so give thanks to the work of Dr. Patricia Newton, Dr. Sekhmet, peace be upon her soul. She was an African-centered psychologist. I actually have her picture on my bookshelf over there. She transitioned in 2021. And she taught me about mirror neurons. That so all of us have mirror neurons inside of our brains. And what those mirror neurons do is it causes us to imitate what we see. We imitate what we see. And see, the Yurugu knows that. The people who control the media, they know that. They've studied the human mind for hundreds of years. So they are well aware that we have neurons inside of our brain that causes us to mimic what we see. So that's why when you're watching commercials, you'll see somebody with a slice of pizza going like this, because they're targeting those mirror neurons, because in your brain now, I want a slice of pizza. They'll show you on the roller coaster ride, people on the roller coaster rides, and you're saying, oh, I want to go to Six Flags. They show somebody jogging on the beach, and then you're sitting there, I want to jog on the beach, right? They are targeting the mirror neurons that are inside of you that's going to cause you to imitate what you see. So, okay, now let's apply that to media that depicts degenerate images of Black people. So they're showing the guy with all the money. They're showing him sagging. They're showing the girls twerking and their clothes off. Then you start seeing it in the community, right? You start seeing it in the community. And people used to say, monkey see, monkey do. No. It's called mirror neurons. I'm imitating what I see. So we have to be careful of what we subject our minds, our eyes to. Because once you see something, you can't unsee it. Once you hear something, you can't unhear it. And that's what my father always says. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you hear it, you can't unhear it. So we have to be careful of what we subject our minds and our bodies to. We have to be mindful. And so going back to what she was saying, that's harmful to us. Now you have this digital blackface stuff out here, right? With AI. So it's becoming more and more dangerous out here when our children access the internet, because you don't know what they're going to see. And so Dr. Browder, Anthony T. Browder, and I was actually having a conversation with one of my students a couple of days ago. Matter of fact, it was Thursday. We were talking about the integrity of information and images. What is that going to look like in the next couple of years when you can use AI to program things to say whatever, you know? And so if you think media is harmful now, wait for the next couple of years. You're not going to be able to tell what's real from fake, because back in the day, you say, oh, I see somebody, they got 7 fingers. Oh, that's AI. Now AI has 10 fingers, and AI looks like me. AI looks like you. And so you just don't know what you're getting.
Facts. Do you have a follow-up question for Dr. Maat?
Yeah, I do actually. Dr. Maat, what would you say adults must model in clarity and discipline to help us, the children, grow into warriors of consciousness?
Say that one more time. I want to understand what you're saying. Say that one more time.
Adults model in clarity and discipline to help us, the children, grow into warriors of consciousness.
So you want to know what her thoughts is on what adults must do as far as to bring clarity?
Yeah.
Discipline? Okay. So what adults must do to bring clarity, and you said in discipline?
Yeah, to help children grow into warrior of consciousness.
Absolutely. So first of all, we talked about protecting the mind, and I already went through that. So in the household, protecting the mind, giving them making sure the child is exposed to African-centered consciousness, African-centered education, African-centered media, making sure that we study and that we read. I think reading has to become a household value. As you said, Baba, earlier today, you said, oh, people don't read. They don't. They don't. I actually have children, I don't want to call them children because they're 18 and 19, but students who come to my classroom, I want to be an engineer, Dr. Maat, I want to be an engineer. Okay, that's great that you're here, give thanks. But then they a lot of them are illiterate, coming out of the school system. I always say the public fool system, but they come out, illiterate. And so, and I want to be clear, I don't blame the system per se. I do, but I don't, because your child should be learning how to read and write in your home. Like, you shouldn't be depending upon teachers, even though they are getting paid tax dollars for it. They should be in there, and they are. Give thanks to our teachers. But you can't just that shouldn't be the solely the responsibility of the teacher, right? Like to teach your child how to read and write and to do basic math. Like, they should be doing that in the household. So studying, you're saying clarity and discipline, that starts in the household. The parents making sure that you studying with your child, certain conversations, watching documentaries, with your child. My son will tell you, I got videos of us sitting on a couch when he was a kid watching lectures that's what we did on Friday night. We watched Dr. Amos Wilson lectures. So watching lectures, watching documentaries, having conversations, and then traveling, going different places and seeing certain things, seeing certain things. I've taken my son, to the museum. He's gone to museums. He's gone to, I took him down south to the Boone plantation, in Charleston, South Carolina. So going to see things and so having that perspective. So I think that's what adults, can do. And not only just do that with the children in your household, do that with the children in your community, because all children are our children. And so, not only just doing it in your family, but taking some of those children in the community and exposing them to museums, exposing them to cultural events, and even maybe it would be nice to have a book club in the community. I want to say this.
Yes.
I want to say
this. Dr. Maat, we on your time.
Yeah. I want to say this. I'm sitting here thinking, going back to AI, right? Mm-hmm. And one of my students asked me about the integrity of information. He said, Doc, what is the integrity of information going to look like, in years to come? And I told him, I don't know. And he said, he looked at me, he's like, that's scary. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, he said, Doc, he said, well, he calls me, he doesn't call me Dr. Maat, he calls me my name at the university, Dr. Bailey. He said, Dr. Bailey, he said, I think that you're a very knowledgeable person And so for you to say you don't know, he said that's scary for someone like me. And he's in his early 20s. He said that's scary for someone who looked like me. And I told him that, you know, I don't know what that's going to look like, but I can talk about in preventative strategies. I can recommend that. And I told him that we have to go, families and communities have to go back to being warehouses of knowledge, right? We gotta, if you talking about protecting the minds of these babies, our children, our youth, the family has to get back to being a warehouse of information. Remember, before social media and before, you know, the internet and before the television, where, even before newspapers, right? I'm going all the way back. Where did we get our information from? You got your information from your parents, your grandparents, the jelly in the community, the griot, the teacher, the educator, before all of this stuff, before mass communication. That's how you got your information. And so we got to go back to the family being, warehouses of information. The community, the community is going to be more important than ever in this climate. Where we're being, where you talked about earlier, Reya'Sekhmet, how it's a war for our minds, right? It's a war for our consciousness. We're talking about the media and how it disrupts the consciousness. The community now is more important than ever to do what you're doing, bring scholars, great minds from around the country, from around the world, to talk to our people and to give proper information, to disseminate proper information to our people, and so I'm thinking about that more and more when you say the adults, right? Bringing clarity and discipline and being models. We got to get back to being these warehouses, right in the family, being warehouses of information. The community is important. Pouring into our youth are very vital. So I just want to land my plane with that one.
Ashe.
Did I answer her question? I want to make sure I answered her question.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Ashe. Family, media is one of the most powerful tools of programming. It's not neutral, it's strategic. And when we talk about media, we're really talking about a three-headed monster. Each head has a different face, but the same mission: to shape how we see ourselves and how we see each other. And as Dr. Maat says, how we see the world. So for instance, family, head one, that's what I would call entertainment. This is the head that smiles at you because it looks fun: music, movies, cartoons, and social media buffoonery, family. But behind the visuals of all of that is coded with messages that distort our image. My generation, family, we had people like Tupac. He was a revolutionary. He was revolutionary minded, a poet, a child of the Panther legacy, but media painted him as dangerous, unstable, and disposable. Black artists are often boxed into roles that sell but don't liberate. The image says freedom, but the message says stay in your lane or shut up and dribble. Now, family, then there's that second head. There's that number two head, which I call information. This head is the white collar head because it wears a suit and a tie. News broadcasting, documentaries, reality shows, all of those things pretends to inform us, family, but it often misinforms us. Look, to give you an example, think about the Jonathan Majors situation. He was uplifted, then tore down before the facts were even ever clear. Then there's the idea of how Black protests are framed as riots, while others get called freedom movements. Look, family, this head controls the narrative. It decides who gets empathy and who gets erased because it tells our children what's normal, what's dangerous, and what's acceptable without ever asking us what we feel or how we even feel. And then there's that last head, family. That's the one that I call the algorithm. This head is invisible, but arguably the most dangerous because it decides what you see, what you hear, and what you think is trending. It feeds you what keeps you distracted, divided, and dependent, as what Dr. Maat was talking about with the images you see when somebody is maybe eating a burger or a slice of pizza, or they're jogging, all messing with those mind chemicals that we have in our mind. So basically what I'm saying, family, is it's not just about what's posted, it's about what's pushed. And again, we have to teach our children, as Dr. Maat has said, to decode the image and dissect the message, and know that it's not just about the children, because we as adults have to filter that garbage, family. We have to take responsibility of who's coming behind us. And I'll land my plane with this. We can't expect our children to fight what we've already surrendered to. So we have to build their shields early, so that when they grow older, family, they can ward off the nonsense on their own, not just with resistance, but with clarity. We must become warriors of consciousness. Ashe?
Ashe. Okay, so family, let me break it down. Baba Assad just said media is like the three-headed monster. That means it gets more than one to mess with your mind. First head, that's the fun stuff like music, movies, TikTok, and cartoons. It makes you laugh, dance, and sing. But sometimes it's sneaky. It shows black kids always getting in trouble, or only being funny, or never being the hero. That's not by mistake. That's just a message. The second head, that's the news and the facts. It tells people what we have to believe, but sometimes it lies, like saying we're dangerous when we're just standing up for ourselves, or making it seem like we don't care about school or family or our futures. That's not true. But if we don't know better, we might start believing it. And the third head, that's the invisible one, the one that decides what shows up on your phone, what videos you see, what songs you keep playing. Like, it's a robot that feeds you what you think it wants, what you want. But really, it's feeding what you keep getting distracted. So what do we do now? We gotta learn to see the trick, ask questions, talk to our parents, our teachers, our elders, and we gotta protect our minds, like Dr. Maat just said. Like it's a temple. And grown folks, y'all need to help us out. Don't just let us watch anything. Don't say it's just a song or it's just a show. Help us see what's real and what's fake. So when we grow up, we can fight the nonsense on our own. We're not just kids, we're warriors in training. In our minds, that's our first weapon.
Okay.
So Dr. Maat, as you may or may not remember, I used to do a segment called A Fun Question from the Segment Zone. But today I want to share a couple of emails I received from people who've been reflecting on this very topic. Because we asked, what does it mean to shape and protect Black consciousness in a world designed to destroy it? And I would like to hear your thoughts on what they're talking about. Basically, this is my way to shake the haters while uplifting my supporters. So I call this the community mic check.
Okay.
So the first comment comes from someone named Ryan41. He says, I don't fully agree that media is misinforming Black people more than anyone else. Misinformation is everywhere, and people of all backgrounds fall for it. We have access to the same platforms, same news outlets, and same entertainment. It's up to individuals to think critically and choose wisely. What do you say to someone like Ryan, 41, I think it was? Yeah, 41. How media targets Black folk differently. And how do we explain that that's not just about access, but it's about intention, and how systems uses familiar faces, music, and stories to confuse, distract, and distort our truth. And that's a lot of things. I'm sorry for the long line.
Yeah, you kind of talked a little bit about that earlier. So I'm interested to hear what your thoughts is.
Yeah, so he's saying his argument is, and I will say this, I do agree that everybody is at this point, no matter what your ethnicity or cultural background is, we all are victims of misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. But I will say this though. He's saying, it just it's not affecting Black people disproportionately. It actually is. It's actually affecting Black and brown people disproportionately because we consume more media than everybody else. That was a stat that Dr. Browder actually he gave, and this was a stat that came out in the 80s, and then I verified it just recently last year. And hold on, give me 1 second to bring it up, because I like to hit people with the facts, Baba.
Come on with it.
Yeah, I want to hit him with the facts, because he said, oh, it's all the same. No. I mean, it is, but let me go here. Here it is. So on November the 18th, 2023, I was the keynote speaker at Imhotep's 36th annual luncheon. Okay. And Imhotep is an acronym for the Center for the Elimination of Media Offensive to African People. You may want to have on your program Miss Betty Dobson and Dr. James McIntosh. I could put you in touch with them. But my topic was on controlling our image and information. And I talked about the power of the media and how we live, in the power of the media, and how the media, provides information and images that shape our consciousness, our perceptions, and thus our reality. And so going back to what that gentleman says, he said, well, no matter who you are, you're a victim of misinformation and disinformation. I'm paraphrasing, and he's correct, right? We all are, but the difference between us and let's say so-called white people is that we live in an anti-African world, right? Our ancestors are depicted as savages, zero contribution race. Our history begins with slavery. We're constantly inundated with racial caricatures and stereotypes about us, right? I don't think that that happens with white folks. And then you say, and then we actually also consume most of the media. Dr. Anthony T. Browder talked about that in his book, From the Browder File. And then I wanted to check. Now, mind you, it was I think it was like in the 80s when he put that out there. But there was recently a publication that came out. And when I say recently, I'm talking about in 2011, where the publication is by the Center on Media and Human Development, School of Communication, Northwestern University. They put out a publication entitled Children, Media, and Race. And it says media use among white, Black, Hispanic, Asian, and American children. And the key findings were this: African American and Hispanic teens use screen media more than their white peers. Okay. Screen media in this case is defined as any media that is produced for or distributed via the screen, including the entire spectrum of what constitutes the screen: the cinematic screen, the television screen, the computer screen, and small screens accessed on smartphones and other handheld devices. African American children and other minorities listen to music, use the computer, and play video games more than white children. African American and Hispanic teens use social media more than their white peers. It also said that African American children watch more TV more than other groups of children, even on computers, cell phones, and iPads. African American children are more influenced by TV than other groups of children. Children who watch a lot of television are more likely to have problems adjusting to society and are likely to exhibit characteristics of extremely high levels of socially aggressive behavior. So I say all that to say he is in error where he says that media does not impact us disproportionately disproportionately than other groups of people. It actually does. Given these stats that I just read. So it would have more of an influence on us than other people. And again, like I said, we live in an anti-African world. So look at what we're inundated with versus the average, white person. They're not inundated with, negative stereotypes about themselves and, racial caricatures of themselves. They don't have any. We have something called digital blackface for us. There's no such thing as a digital white face out there. So we are disproportionately influenced and impacted by the media. So I disagree with him on that point. I do agree that all of us are exposed to misinformation and disinformation and malinformation, but Black people in particular, we are disproportionately influenced by the media.
Ashe.
I say to that. And once again,
Ashe to that. You have
I actually have someone else who commented. The last email comes from someone named Coco Bliss. She says, Coco Bliss.
Okay.
She says, my son is 9. He's brilliant and curious. Already asking questions about animated shows he watches. Never shows kids who look like him doing anything powerful. I told him about Aset and Asar, which I learned from the J&J-Life podcast when Reya'Sekhmet broke down the Asarian drama. He said, so we have superheroes before Marvel? I cried. My question is, how do we help our children remember their power with the world teaches them to forget it? Ooh. So that's my what would you say to Coco's son's question? And how do we guide us to remember ourselves like Aset did for Asar by putting the pieces back together?
Yeah, I think exposing them, continuing to expose them to platforms like yours, and that's how she found out. She said she found out about the Asarian drama. That's what she called
Asarian drama.
Asarian drama. She said she found that out from watching your platform, correct?
Yes.
So I think that, watching your platform, and then there was Baba, and I forgot the name of it. There, a Black media company that came out with like comics, remember it was like heroes. Oh my goodness, I forgot the name of I forgot their names, but it was like all Black superheroes where they depict Asar, Aset, Haru, and like all kinds of people. I forgot, and they went on Shark
Black
Tank.
Sands?
Black Sands. Thank you. Okay. Well, that am I back now? I know it seemed like I was gone. Am I back now? Okay. But I would say to the mother of that mother, Sister Coco, to continue to because she said she doesn't want us, her son to lose that, right? Like, I see that we were superheroes or we were this, and she doesn't want him to lose that. So continue to inundate him with images that depict us as such. So Black Sand, right? That's a beautiful start, right? So Reya'Sekhmet's platform, you got Black Sand. I know they had all these comics out. They were in the process of developing animations based on these comics. I think they went on Shark Tank and they gave them like $500,000 to do it. So I don't know if they're like in production or what. The Panther movie. I mean, that's why I think I went and saw the Black Panther movie part 1 and 2 more than the children. I took everybody, all the youth in my family. I sat through it. I'm in there with my son, my nephew's son, Chase. We're in there watching the daggone movie. But, inundating her son with images like that, reading storybooks. Meltrek is a tool. We're not depicted as superheroes in Meltrek, but our glorious history is shown in the Meltrek series,
which is super in itself.
Ashe. And so I would just implore that sister to continue to expose her son to that type of media, not media with the guys sagging and cursing and promoting deaf culture, because then she would dim the light, So she wants to continue to inundate him with that type of media, Black Sands, Meltrek. Put him in some classes. Give thanks that Baba Baruti has something called Our Story. Baba Amin and Mama and Koyo, they have something that teaches Black children our history. So putting him in classes and stuff like that.
Ashe. Do you want to address?
Yeah. So I want to address Ryan's thoughts. I hear you, and I respect.
You want to address Ryan?
Yeah.
She wants to go back to Ryan. Okay.
Yeah, she wants to go back to Ryan.
I hear you, and I respect your point. Not all information is harmful, and yes, misinformation hits everybody. But let me be clear: Black people get targeted differently.
As Dr. Maat has said.
Yes. We don't just get misinformed; we get misrepresented, misdiagnosed, and misremembered. So we're not just part of the system. We're the ones it was built to confuse. So yeah, we have access to the same platforms, but we don't get the same protection.
Right.
We
Let
don't.
the family sit on that for a moment.
Right. We don't get the same. We don't get the same protection. That's what I was talking about, like how we're depicted, And so yeah.
Exactly.
We don't get the same truth and respect. And
Not
I've
at
come
all.
to know it's not just about thinking critically. It's about knowing your history, your culture, and your ancestors, so you can spot the lie before it lands. And Baba Emily Baruti teaches us that we need warrior minds that are African-centered, disciplined, and unshakable. He
That's
says
right.
we cannot just consume, we gotta construct with a vision that's rooted in truth. Because this isn't just about choosing wisely, it's about building wisely. And look, I'm here for all of it.
I'm here for it too. Ashe.
Me too.
Ashe.
So family, Yurugu doesn't always come with a whip or a badge anymore. Sometimes it comes with a microphone, a podcast, or a social media platform. The strategy is simple. Use familiar faces to push foreign agendas, or use Black skin to sell anti-Black thinking, like Dr. Maat had said. For instance, family, they'll say things like, we don't need Pan-Africanism. Race doesn't matter. I want to be a bridge. And they do this, family, all while ignoring the system that keep us oppressed. This is Yurugu's plan to make confusion look like progress and to make betrayal look like brilliance. Ashe?
Ashe. All right, family. I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. We've been lied to, played with, and programmed. Can you believe that? Media is out here trying to shape our minds before we even know who we are. It's showing us fake versions of ourselves, feeding us junk and calling it culture. But when we're not just watchers, we're warriors. So here's what I'm trying to say. To kids like me, start asking questions, start paying attention, start walking like your name means something, because it does. Don't copy everything you see. Don't let social media teach you who you are. Learn your truth, speak it loud, and protect your mind like it's gold. And to adults, stop letting anything just play in front of the children. Stop saying it's just a song or it's just a show. If it's not building us, it's breaking us. We need you to filter the garbage, to walk with purpose, to show us what power looks like when it's rooted in truth. Because we're watching and we're learning and we're becoming. So let's stop sleepwalking. Let's stop repeating traditions that don't belong to us. And in turn, let's build something real. Let's walk like our ancestors are watching, because they are. Let's keep building and let's do it on purpose. Ashe.
Okay.
And Dr. Maat, I want to let you know I wrote a book, and it's called The Magical Adventures of Ra'Lina. Book 1, The Rise of the Flame.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It drops on November 11th in paperback hardcover and as an ebook. But guess what?
Wow.
People can pre-order the ebook on Amazon right now. So my question, so my book.
Yeah,
right here. This is the hardcover.
Wow. And so is this like a children's storybook, novel?
Yeah.
So it's a novella. It's a you want to tell, you know what? How about you here? I'll hold the book. You just tell Dr. Maat what this book, a little bit about what this book is about.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see it, Dr. Maat.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
Sale copy, but it goes on sale November
11th. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So my book is about a girl named Ra'Lina. She's got the instincts of a wolf, like superhero and strength, because she's an alpha. Ra gives her the gift to channel the warrior energy of Sekhmet and Bastet, and the ability to move between realms using her Ankh. She goes on adventures with her baby sister Katrina. Together they ride a mystical train into lands of Kemet and Kush. I know it's African-centered, and it's all mine.
Yeah. So,
I made it.
So basically, this is Reya'Sekhmet's way of reintroducing our ancient African history to the people that are her age and up. And it talks about, and I don't want to repeat what she said, but it talks about how this girl Ra'Lina that she created, because you can see the play on the name Ra'Lina, and her sister's name is Ka, Trina. So the names with the Ka and the Ba and the Ra, you know, just to bring all of that elements into the book. And this book here it's about 170 pages, but the story takes you on a journey. And how this came about was because of Baba Taka. Baba Taka read her first picture book. It started off as a picture book.
Wow.
He read that picture book, and in the back of the picture book, and you mind if I show?
No problem.
Okay. In the back of that picture book, it talks about, I don't know if you can see that.
Yes, I see it, Baba.
Okay. It talks about how the girls traveled to the land of Kemet and Kush, and you know, and they are fighting the distortion, which for our discussion today, we're talking about how the Yurugu or the Egyptologists of today have tried to whitewash the history to make it like if we were never even existed, you know, like we were created out of they took us and cleaned us up, and you know, when we were in the, you know, in the jungles or the African wilderness as savages,
right?
You know, and so this is her way of reclaiming the story and putting it out there in a
the hardcover book is
a historical fantasy, lack of a better term, to bring it back to the essence of who we were, where we're at, and where we're going.
Ashe. Yeah. Ashe. Well, I want to say this. First of all, congratulations, Reya'Sekhmet, you know, on this. And Baba, when we get off of this Zoom call, or this interview, please send me a link so that I can purchase. I don't have her picture book. I would love to purchase the picture book and then also purchase her. It's like you said, novella. I like that. But I want to definitely purchase both of those. And then if you don't mind, I would love for her to come on my platform to talk about her book. You know, and it's another child author in Yame. And I would love to bring them on to talk about being, you know, authors, you know, young people who are authors, who are creating stories that tell our story, and the importance of that, and just talk about their process. You know, how did they feel while they were going through it? You know, what were their thoughts? What inspired them? What keeps them motivated? I think that would be phenomenal. So, Baba, let's definitely, like I said, the first step is send me a link, so I can purchase her material. Then I want to take some time to read it, so that when I'm online with her and I'm talking about, you know, her work, I can ask intelligent questions and then bring her on the platform. So let's do it, Baba. And so
absolutely. And I'll make sure you get that information. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And so congratulations to you, Reya'Sekhmet. And I'm looking forward to reading it. I love stories like this. Reya'Sekhmet, have you ever heard of Obi and Titi? The Chronicles of Obi and Titi. Have you ever heard of that?
No, actually.
Check that out. It's a children's series. I think they have like 6 or 7 books. It's called Obi and Titi. I think
I got the family in the background shaking their head that they heard of it. So
yes, man. Man. Yeah, I think Reya'Sekhmet would love that, you know. And when you were telling me like they're going on this adventure, I started thinking about Obi and Titi. So yeah, definitely check that out as well.
Look, family, you don't have to wait to be older to be aligned. You can start right now, because here's what I'm learning. We've had warriors, real ones. Fannie Lou Hamer didn't just speak, she shook the room. Malcolm X didn't just warn us, he gave us the blueprint. Minister Farrakhan didn't just organize, he called us to rise. They all taught us to see the system and walk with power. But now we're here in the 21st century, and the fight looks different, because lies come with likes and followers. So yes, we have to protect our past. We have to study it. We have to honor it. But we also have to fight with a new paradigm. I've been reading and studying Baba Emile Maruchi's books, because he says we need warriors, scholars, not just smart kids. And Baba Shakari, he teaches that we need a cultural clarity, that we can't just wear African clothes and say Ashe. We have to live it. So once you know the system is coming for us, we'll be able to defend ourselves much better from it. And this is from Reya'Sekhmet with love. Ashe. Habib Fahodie.
Ashe.
Dr. Maat, as we round out our discussion, I want to give you the final word.
All right. The final word is now you did this the last time, and I had to think what I wanted to say. My last words were stay the course and be encouraged. That's what I said at the last interview. With this interview, I want to say these two words: protect yours, protect ours. So I guess that's 4 words, right? Protect yours, protect ours. As Baba Baruti, just echoing his thoughts, his sentiments. We're at war. A lot of Black folks are comfortable. They don't think we're at war. You know, they look at us crazy when we're like, they're at war. It's a war going on for our minds, for our bodies, for our spirits, and for our spirit. And so we have to protect ours, protect yours, protect ours, right? And the reason why I say ours and yours, because what's yours is mine and what's mine is yours. So that's why I say protect yours, protect ours. And what does that protection look like? Watching the media that we support, right? And so support, Dr. Maat, I don't support deaf culture. Well, if you click on that video that's promoting deaf culture, you're supporting it, right? If you're online sharing videos that promote deaf culture, you're supporting it. I asked my students, and I know you said last words, and I'm going off, but one of my students, I remember my students, it was a song out some years ago called Murder on My Mind. The guy that made the song, he's in jail now. And I remember my students, they were singing a song, and I said to them, you actually like that song? And but I don't support murder. Yes, you do. You support murder. No, I don't. I never murdered anybody. I don't support that. You actually do support it because you're supporting the promotion of murder, right? By singing a song, by streaming it, by sharing it, and so anyway, protect ours, protect yours. That's what I want to say, man. Protecting, watching the media that we support, that we watch, that we give our children, that we give ourselves, right? And the education, family members, protect yours, protect ours. That's vital to our growth and development and advancement as a people. So those are the words I want to leave folks with. Protect yours, protect ours. Ashe.
Ashe.
Well, there you have it, family. Until next time, please absolutely do that little button and subscribe.
Family, grab your copy of Mail Track and support Dr. Maat on all her ventures.
Sacrifice and pay the price. A big Fahodie family. Reya'Sekhmet is out.
A baby Fahodie.
Peace and love is the key. Ra'ah represents the essence of truth, justice, harmony, balance, order, and humanitarian reciprocity and righteousness.
J&J-Life podcast. The J&J-Life podcast was created to give the family a place and platform to embrace their spiritual awakening and consciousness. J&J-Life is dedicated to showcasing the beauty of our culture, educating our people and those that want to learn this work.
Smash that like button. Peace and love is Nikki.